children. Through this video, we are going to discuss the next poem from your literature textbook, that is Animals, written by Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman was born on May 31st, 1819 in US, and he died on March 26, 1892 at the age of 72. He was a famous poet, essayist, and a journalist. He is a major figure in early American poetry. He broke the tradition of rhymed and metrical poetry. Most of the poems are written with a particular rhyme, and there will be a meter for the poetry. But he broke that tradition. He was a famous poet who wrote a revolutionary kind of poetry which was in free verse. Free verse means without proper rhyme scheme. The poem Animals is from his work Song of Myself in Leaves of Grass. Animals. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to this kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they show their relations to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Through this poem, the poet tells us that he feels more at home with animals than humans whom he finds complicated and false. The poet wishes to live with animals and to experience a life where no one complains and where everyone is free of sins and sorrows. Now let's analyze the stanzas one by one. Look at the first stanza. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. Here, the meaning of the word placid is calm and quiet. Calm. Placid means calm, quiet. What is the antonym for placid? Excitable or temperamental, or otherwise we can say irritated, rough, etc. Now, what is self-contained? Self-contained means independent. So keep up the control. So that is self-contained. Now, in this stanza, the poet says that he wants to live in the world of animals. The poet finds that the world of animals is better than that of human beings. He further says that he finds animals more peaceful than human beings. Placid, peaceful. He says so because animals are not running after worldly things like human beings. They are calm and have no greed for possessions or any kind of achievements. They are self-contained, means they are happy with the life and never interfere in the lives of others. We human beings have the habit of interfering in the lives of others. So, the poet thinks that animals are better than humans for being calm and not interfering in the matters of others. The poet then says that these are the reasons why he stands there and looks at the animals for a very long time. Okay? Now let's discuss the second stanza. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Here, sweat and whine means cries and complaints. The word whine means a long, high-pitched, complaining cry. Okay? Now see. Here the poet says that unlike human beings, animals never complain of their miseries. They never cry out loud like humans do to show that they have lost something. And they never stay awake in the night crying in repentance for their wrongdoings. This means that animals are different from human beings because they never show anger or grief if something wrong happens with them. And in the last line, he says that animals are very truthful because they never boast of their good deeds done in the name of God. He says so because most of the human beings do this. They try to show their good deeds and religiousness to others. They do so in order to gain popularity among their fellows. So, the poet thinks that animals never irritate him by doing such things just to gain some praise from their fellow people. Now we can move on to the next stanza. Not one is dissatisfied, not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. The first line, the word demented means behaving irrationally due to excitement or anger. Here the meaning is disturbed. Mania means an excessive enthusiasm or desire. Otherwise we can say obsession. Kneels means bow down. Okay, so here the poet says that animals are not at all dissatisfied like human beings. They always stay happy with whatever they have. They never run behind worldly things. And they never try to possess the things of comfort or luxury. The poet says that he has never seen any animal showing his devotion to anyone by bowing down in front of a person. They never do so even for their ancestors. They do not show devotion towards God like humans do. No one among them is more respectable or important as we have in our human society. In human beings, the rich people are generally given more importance and they are treated with more respect as compared to the poor. Am I right? But in the society of animals, they never do so. They never give more or less importance to any other animal. Everyone in the animal world is happy. They are not like us who find ourselves the happiest or the saddest person on earth. Now, the next stanza. So they show their relations to me and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. Here, tokens means symbols, virtues, qualities qualities of human beings such as innocence, kindness, etc. Evince means show, indicate. Okay? Here the poet says that animals are more honest in showing their relations with other animals. Animals use other animals as their food, but they never try to hide this. Whereas human beings show that they have nice and friendly relations with others, though the reality is opposite. So the poet says that he accepts the fact that animals are true towards showing their relation with other animals. Here the poet shows that animals remind him of true values of human nature, such as kindness and innocence. Okay, here actually we could see the similarities between human beings and animals. The poet finds that animals, like human beings, do not trouble others unless they are compelled. They are equally kind and innocent. Now the last two lines of the poem. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Here negligently means carelessly. So at last the poet introspects himself and says that from where the animals got those qualities. So he is having that doubt from where they got those qualities. He further questions himself that where his own qualities have gone or had carelessly lost them somewhere. The qualities that were found in human beings in the past, like innocence, kindness, truthfulness, they are seen now in animals. He wonders that humans gave up those qualities and they have been passed on to the animals. Now, animals have all the good qualities of human beings and human beings lost all those qualities. Now we can discuss the poetic devices used in this poem. As I have already told you, this particular poetry is written in free verse. What do you mean by free verse? A poem that doesn't rhyme or have a regular rhythm. So there is no proper rhyme scheme for this poem. Okay? Now, look at the first two lines. You can see that the word I gets repeated in the beginning, isn't it? So both the lines started with the same word, I. So what is the poetic device used here? Anaphora. Anaphora is the poetic device used in the first two lines. And look at the first line again. Think, live, animals, placid, contained. You could see the usage of the vowel sound I, isn't it? So what is the poetic device there? Assonance, the repetition of vowel sounds, isn't it? The position of vowel sounds in that particular line. Now, look at the first line again. The word I gets repeated. So the poetic device is repetition. Now in the second sentence, the word long gets repeated. Long and long. Again, repetition. So the poetic devices used in these two lines are anaphora, assonance and repetition. Now the next stanza. See again, these three lines started with the same words. They do not, they do not, they do not. Again, anaphora is used. And you could see the usage of sweat and wine. Here, sweat and whine indicates the cries and complaints of human beings. Actually, the cries and complaints of human beings are compared to sweat and whine. So, what is the poetic device used here? Metaphor, comparison. The cries, okay, cries and complaints of human beings are compared to the sweat and whine of animals. So, metaphor. Now, look at the third line. Make me. The repetition of initial consonant sounds. So, what is the poetic device used here? Alliteration. Okay. So, what are the poetic devices used in these three lines? Anaphora, metaphor and alliteration. Now, let's move on to the next stanza. Here also the poet has started these three lines with the same words, not one. Again anaphora. Okay. Now, dissatisfied, demanded. The sound is repeated. Repetition of initial consonant the sound. Alliteration. Okay. So, what are the poetic devices used here? Anaphora and alliteration. Now, let's move on to the next stanza. Here, the poet has started with different words, so no anaphora is used. Look at the word tokens here. Actually, the tokens means the simples, virtues and qualities and all. So, here the inner qualities of human beings are referred as tokens. Okay, the inner qualities of human beings are compared to tokens. So, what is the poetic device used here? Metaphor. So, the only poetic device used in these two lines, metaphor. Now, the last two lines. You could see the usage of alliteration here. Wonder where. That where sound is repeated in the initial word. That means in the initial sounds of these two words. So, alliteration. So, these are the important poetic devices used in this poem.
Mr. Walter Whitman, I feel honored to discuss with you the beautiful poem Animals written in free verse. Sir, what is the theme of the poem?
Human beings are called the most civilized species in the entire world. But sometimes, they lack the values which are better exhibited by the animals. Yes, they lack the qualities of being respectable, happy, contented and peace-loving which is still reflected in animals. Animals do not grumble about their lives, lie awake at night, cry over the sins or discuss the duty towards God as humans do. Animals do not have a mania for owning things, nor do they kneel before others like humans. Moreover, the tokens of goodness, love, respect and happiness have been dropped by human beings.
The poem tells us that civilization has made humans false to their own true nature. What's your opinion regarding this?
Definitely in the race of human civilization, humans have lost their own nature. The men have dissed their innate goodness over the years. They have become selfish, jealous, restless, unhappy, cribbing and grumbling creatures. They grumble about their lives, lie awake at night, cry over the sins and discuss the duty towards God. In a race to earn more luxuries and comfort, they have lost the sound sleep. They have become unhappy and most of the time unable to enjoy even small joys and happiness in life. On the contrary, animals are peaceful, self-contained, thankful and happy creatures. They are not unhappy and indeed bring out tokens of man's good nature lost long ago, when he possessed qualities like love, respect, contentment and happiness.
How is the poem a contrast between humans and animals?
Humans can be described as selfish, jealous, restless, unhappy, cribbing, and grumbling creatures. In contrast, animals are peaceful, self-contained, thankful and happy creatures. They do not grumble about their lives, lie awake at night, cry over the sins or discuss the duty towards God as humans do. Also, they don't have a mania for owning things, nor do they kneel before others. Animals, on the whole, are not unhappy and indeed bring out tokens of man's good nature lost long ago, when he possessed qualities like love, respect, contentment and happiness.
Why are you so much impressed with animals that you want to change sides and wishes to live with them?
I feel that humans have degraded themselves beyond redemption. Nothing great has been left with human beings. He is fed up with the behavior and wants to escape from the world of humans. No doubt, humans were not so bad at one time. They shared tokens of love, sympathy, contentment and innocence with animals. However, the spirit of greed, overambition, and arrogance overpowered them. They gave up the path of virtue and the tokens of love and sympathy. They are confused. The burden of the sins and misdeeds lies heavy on their hearts and souls. On the other hand, animals still maintain the old virtues left by man long ago. They are contented, self-sufficient, simple and free from confusions and the burden of sins and misdeeds.
What is the message that you have to tell people through this poem?
The message of the poem Animals is that humans have lost innocence, fraternity and peace. They always commit sins, have greed for worldly things and also discriminate on the basis of class, religion, caste, color etc. On the other hand, animals have retained the good qualities. They are satisfied with the condition. They are not greedy and do not have any lust for materialistic things. There is no discrimination among animals.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words.
It's my pleasure.